Now we've built our web application. What's an effective way to test our REST API responses? The typical way to do Java testing is with JUnit. However, for this particular kind of testing against our API, it's doable but rather difficult. Instead, we can use the Robot framework, which allows for automated testing against a running web application. Installation instructions for Robot framework are linked in the description. You'll need to install Python as a prerequisite, and those instructions will walk you through it. We also need to install one more thing before we start testing. After you've installed Robot framework, run this command: pip install -- upgrade robot framework requests. Now we're ready to start using the Robot framework for testing. Let's take a look at a script. So this robot script that I'm demonstrating would be for testing against an application that is the combination of the Neo4j books examples shown previously in my video series, combined with a controller application that provides REST API endpoints to do those database insertions and lookups. Note, individual items in the script are spaced out using the tab key. Also, the tests are run in the order specified in the file, unlike JUnit. The way I've structured the tests are pretty standard across the file. First, as a setup before all the tests are run, I create a session, name it with an alias of localhost, and specify that the address is localhost 8080. Then I create the header, which is standard to all of my requests. We create a dictionary, which is Python's version of map, and set content type to be application/JSON. What this means for our header is that the body, if there is one, is in JSON format. Then we create another dictionary for our parameters. For this first example, add author pass. I will set the author as George Orwell and give him an author ID of NM1. Now I put together my request. I specify that this one is of type put and I want to send it to my local host. I specify the specific path at the local host that it will target, and then I set the body as the parameters I put together by assigning to JSON, and I set the header. Finally, I specify the expected status code. For this one, I'm expecting 200, that it succeeded. And I'm actually assigning this all to a variable resp, which is the response I get back from the request I'm making. If you look at the next one, add author fail, I set the expected status to 400 instead, since this is a bad request with the wrong key used in the request body. Now, let's look at print book pass. It is a GET request. There's just a few things different here. One is that because I'm using query parameters for my GET request, that instead of assigning the parameters to JSON, instead I assign it to params. Another thing, in this test I've demonstrated how to check if a value is present in the returned JSON body. One thing to note, if you're checking for a boolean or an integer instead of a string, it needs to be formatted a certain way with a $ and curly brackets, like this. Finally, in your terminal, go to where the script is and then run it like this: robot scriptname.robot. Then you'll see it do its thing. Nice, we passed all our tests. You can explore the results interactively using the report HTML page that it generated. In the description, I've linked some helpful pages that detail keywords that you can use in the robot script.